Leora stood on the balcony of her home on Zalaris Prime, looking out at the glowing city beneath her. The tall towers shimmered in the light of twin suns, reflecting every color of the spectrum. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the excitement in her chest. Today was special. Today, she would be married. Her thoughts wandered to Kale. He was quiet, almost too quiet for her taste. Yet there was something about him that made her heart feel steady. Unlike the many loud and ambitious aliens she knew, Kale never bragged, never competed for attention. He simply observed, listened, and smiled when it felt right. To some, it might have seemed dull, but to Leora, it felt safe. The wedding hall was filled with the soft hum of alien voices. The guests wore long, flowing robes and ornate jewelry, and some had skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Leora's family and friends looked at Kale with curiosity, even a little skepticism. A human marrying a high-ranking alien diplomat? It was unheard of. Many whispered about it. Humans were considered fragile, their strength limited, their minds incapable of grasping advanced alien technology. And yet, here was Kyle, standing calmly at the altar, hands folded neatly, waiting. Leora approached him, her dress flowing like liquid silver. Kyle's dark hair was neatly combed, and his simple suit made him stand out in the crowd of elaborate attire. He looked at her with calm, deep eyes that seemed to understand everything without needing words. "Are you ready?" Leora asked softly. Kyle nodded. "I am." The ceremony was brief but beautiful. Alien priests chanted strange melodies, and the air shimmered with faint golden light as their energies intertwined. When the final vow was spoken, Leora felt a surge of joy. She had chosen this human, this quiet man, to share her life. After the ceremony, the couple walked through the gardens. Strange flowers glowed under the twin suns, and soft streams ran over stones that sparkled like diamonds. Kyle held Leora's hand gently, his touch firm but warm. "You seem happy," Kyle said, his voice calm. "I am," she replied, smiling. "It is a new beginning for both of us." Kyle nodded again, his expression unreadable. Leora wanted to ask him more about his thoughts, but he simply looked at the horizon, as if considering something far away. Life settled into a quiet routine. Kale spent his mornings tending the gardens and observing the creatures that lived nearby. He learned their habits, noticed patterns, and sometimes quietly intervened to help them. Leora watched, fascinated. Despite his calm nature, he seemed to understand life in ways the aliens could not. At night, Kale would sit by a small table in their home, drawing strange symbols on parchment. They glowed faintly in the candlelight. Leora often wondered what they meant. "Kale, what are these?" she asked one evening, curiosity dancing in her eyes. Kale looked at her and smiled faintly. "They are old ways of remembering. Something from my people. You do not need to understand them now." Leora accepted the answer, though a small part of her wanted to know more. There was something about those glowing symbols, something powerful that seemed to hum quietly in the air. She could not explain it, but it made her feel safe and uneasy at the same time. Life on Zalaris Prime continued peacefully. Leora went to diplomatic meetings, managing her responsibilities with grace. Kale stayed home mostly, quietly observing, reading, and practicing what he called old human exercises. He moved in precise, measured ways, almost like he was dancing with an invisible opponent. Leora watched him from time to time, and though she saw no weapons, no signs of danger, she felt a strange respect for him. Their neighbors, curious aliens, often visited. They commented on Kyle's quiet nature. "He does so little," one neighbor said, frowning. "How can he keep up with the complexities of your life?" Leora smiled politely. Perhaps quiet observation is more valuable than constant action. The alien guests would look puzzled. They had never met a human who could remain calm while surrounded by so much activity and noise, but Kale never sought their approval. He simply existed in his own quiet way, and slowly the neighbors began to notice that his calmness brought a strange balance to Leora's sometimes hectic life. One evening, a soft wind blew through their garden, carrying the scent of glowing night flowers. Kyle was sitting by the stream, drawing symbols once again. Leora watched, fascinated by the way his hand moved effortlessly, as if guided by some hidden force. "Why do you draw these?" she asked softly, sitting beside him. Kyle paused, looking at her with deep, steady eyes. Humans have ways of remembering strength that others do not see. Perhaps one day, you will understand. Leora nodded, sensing there was more to Kyle than anyone could imagine. Even the aliens, with all their advanced technology, could not see what he was capable of. He was quiet, yes, but there was a depth to him that made her heart race with both curiosity and admiration. Days turned into weeks. The peaceful life continued, but the aliens' whispers did not stop. Many doubted that a human could protect or contribute meaningfully. Some even suggested that Kale was weak, that Leora had made a mistake. Leora ignored them. She knew something the others did not. There was power in quiet strength, and she felt it in Kyle. One night, as she watched him draw glowing symbols by candlelight, she realized that perhaps humans had been underestimated for centuries. "Kyle," she whispered, "I think the universe does not yet understand you." Kyle looked up, a faint smile on his lips. "Perhaps it will, in time." At that moment, a strange feeling filled the air, a subtle hum that seemed to come from the symbols themselves. Leora shivered, sensing that something was changing, something beyond the peaceful life they had built. She did not know what it was yet, but she felt it in her bones. Her quiet human, the man she had married, held secrets far deeper than anyone could imagine. And the galaxy, in its quiet arrogance, would soon discover that humans were not as weak as they believed. The night ended quietly, but Leora could not sleep. She watched Kale's calm figure by the candlelight, pondering the hidden power in his quiet nature. She felt a mixture of awe, love, and a hint of fear. The peaceful union had begun. But the universe had a way of testing quiet strength, and soon, everything would change. The sun rose slowly over Zalaris Prime, casting long golden rays across the alien city. Leora walked through the garden, her mind restless. Kale had been drawing his strange, glowing symbols again the previous night, moving his hand with precision, almost like he was conducting some invisible orchestra. She could not shake the feeling that there was more to him than anyone could see. As she reached the small stream near their home, she noticed Kale was already there. He knelt beside the water, carefully arranging smooth stones in a pattern she did not understand. His hands moved with a quiet confidence that fascinated her. "Good morning," she said softly. Kale looked up, his dark eyes calm and steady. "Morning. The stones need balance." Leora tilted her head. "Balance?" He nodded. "Everything in the world has balance. The trees, the streams, even people. If balance is broken, chaos grows." She smiled, realizing that even in simple words, Kale's mind worked differently. He did not just see the world, he understood its hidden patterns. Later that day, while Leora attended a diplomatic meeting, Kale ventured into the nearby forest. The forest of Zalaris Prime was unlike any she had seen. Trees with silver leaves reached high into the sky, their branches humming with energy. Strange creatures darted between the trunks, some glowing softly, others disappearing into thin air. Kyle moved silently, observing everything. He watched a small group of alien predators circling a herd of glowing herbivores. Unlike the aliens who often panicked in these situations, Kale stood calmly, analyzing the movements, the timing, and the weaknesses. Suddenly, one of the predators lunged at a young herbivore. Kyle did not panic. He raised his hand, and in a single fluid motion, he drew a small, sleek sword from the sheath on his back. The blade shimmered faintly, humming with energy. With a precise swing, he intercepted the predator, striking it in a way that caused no unnecessary harm, yet stopped the attack immediately. The forest fell silent. Even the predators paused, as if sensing the power Kale wielded. He lowered the sword, her calm expression unchanged, and the creatures quietly retreated. A whisper of awe ran through the trees, though there was no one else present to hear it. Kyle had revealed a hidden strength, one the aliens had always believed humans lacked. He looked at the sword, then back at the path leading home. Meanwhile, Leora returned from her meeting, feeling unusually tense. She sensed that something in the air had shifted. As she entered the garden, she saw Kyle waiting for her, his calm expression unchanged, but the faint glow of energy from the sword still lingering in the air. "Kyle, what was that?" she asked, her voice a mixture of awe and fear. He smiled faintly. "A small problem in the forest. It is nothing to worry about." But Leora knew it was not nothing. The humans she knew had never been trained in combat or energy manipulation like this, and yet Kale had handled the situation effortlessly. That evening, they sat together by the stream. Leora could not stop thinking about the sword and the strange energy it emitted. "Kale, why didn't you tell me you could do this?" she asked quietly. He looked at her, his dark eyes reflecting the soft glow of the water. "I did not want to alarm anyone. Humans are underestimated in this galaxy. It is safer if my strength remains hidden until needed." Leora reached for his hand. "You have no idea how extraordinary you are. The aliens, the council, they will not see this coming. You could change everything." Kyle simply nodded. "Perhaps, but change can be dangerous. We must be careful." The next day, whispers began to spread through the alien neighborhoods. Rumors about a human with hidden power reached even Leora's diplomatic colleagues. Many were skeptical, but some watched Kale with cautious curiosity. Humans were still considered weak, fragile, and unpredictable, but Kale's calm demeanor and quiet confidence challenged that belief. One afternoon, while walking near the city's edge, Leora noticed Kyle pause abruptly. He was staring at the horizon, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. Something was coming, something unfamiliar. "What is it?" she asked, her voice low. Kyle did not answer immediately. His eyes narrowed, studying the distant shapes moving across the plains. "A minor threat," he said finally. "Nothing we cannot handle. But it is a test." Before Leora could ask more, a small group of alien mercenaries appeared, moving with strange, almost mechanical precision. They carried weapons designed to incapacitate humans. The air felt tense. Leora could see the surprise and hesitation in their movements. They had expected a weak human, but Kale did not appear weak. He stood tall, calm, and unafraid. Without a word, Kale drew his sword again. The faint hum of energy filled the air, and the mercenaries froze. It was as if the sword itself warned them of the danger. In a few fluid movements, Kyle disarmed and disabled the attackers, his actions precise and efficient, never unnecessary, never cruel. Leora's eyes widened. She had never seen such power used with such control. The quiet human she had married was not only capable of defending himself, but also of protecting others with skill and intelligence that defied the expectations of every alien present. After the encounter, Kale sheathed the sword and turned to her. "Balance must be maintained. We intervene only when necessary. he said quietly. Leora nodded, understanding. Kale's strength was not just physical, it was mental, strategic, and disciplined. It was a type of power that aliens did not fully comprehend. That night, as they returned home, Leora felt a mixture of awe and pride. She realized that the quiet human she had married held secrets that could shift the balance of the galaxy. And yet, he remained humble, calm, and focused. "Kyle," she whispered as they sat together by the candlelight, "you are more than anyone could imagine. The universe is not ready for humans like you." Kale smiled faintly. "Perhaps it will be, in time." Leora rested her head on his shoulder, feeling a sense of peace she had never known. She understood now that strength did not always roar. Sometimes it was quiet, steady, and patient. And in Kale, she had found a strength that could endure anything the galaxy would throw at them. But even as she felt safe, she could not shake the feeling that their peaceful life was only the beginning. Something was coming, something that would test Kale, test humans, and test everything the galaxy believed about strength and power. And when that day arrived, the quiet human she had married would no longer be underestimated. The sun had barely risen over Zalaris Prime when a low hum vibrated through the air. Leora stirred awake, sensing an unusual tension. She looked toward Kyle, who was already sitting by the small table in their home, drawing symbols with deliberate care. The faint glow of energy traced the lines he drew, illuminating his calm, focused face. Leora approached quietly. "Kale, it feels different today. Something is in the air." Kale did not look up. "You feel it too," he said quietly. "Yes. The balance is shifting. Soon, we will be tested in ways the aliens cannot imagine." Before she could ask more, the forest near their home erupted in movement. Strange sounds echoed through the trees, predators that had never ventured this close, their eyes glowing with unusual intelligence. Leora's heart raced. She had seen Kale handle minor threats before, but something about this felt bigger. Kale rose slowly. His hand went to the hilt of his sword. The blade, sleek and simple in design, shimmered as if alive. Energy rippled along its edge, sending soft waves through the air. The hum grew louder. Leora's breath caught in her throat. This was no ordinary sword. From the edge of the forest, a group of rogue alien mercenaries appeared, armed with energy rifles and strange mechanical shields. Their leader, a tall, armored alien with 4 glowing eyes, stepped forward. "We have come for the human!" he shouted, his voice carrying over the quiet morning. "He is not meant to survive here." Leora instinctively stepped closer to Kyle, fear mixed with awe. She had never seen him like this, calm, but with a readiness that radiated power. Kyle's hand rested on the hilt. "We do not want unnecessary conflict," he said, "but if forced, I will defend." The alien leader laughed. "Humans are weak. You cannot stand against us." In a single fluid motion, Kyle drew the sword. The energy flared brilliantly, creating a small shockwave that knocked the mercenaries backward. Their weapons sparked and fizzled in the air as if resisting the sword itself. Leora gasped. She had never seen anything like it. Kyle stepped forward, his movements precise and controlled. Each swing of the sword was more than a strike. It was a demonstration of strategy, calculation, and timing. The mercenaries tried to advance, but Kale was always one step ahead, parrying, redirecting, and neutralizing without unnecessary force. The leader of the mercenaries roared in frustration. "Impossible! He is human! How can he wield such power?" Leora watched as Kale moved through the group with calm certainty. The sword seemed to respond to his thoughts, slicing through obstacles with perfect efficiency. The glowing symbols he had drawn days before now pulsed on the blade, as if guiding each strike. It was clear to Leora that Kale's power was not just physical, it was mental, connected to something ancient, something the galaxy had long forgotten. One mercenary, braver than the rest, lunged from the side with a plasma blade. Kyle spun, deflecting the strike with ease. The impact sent sparks flying, but Kyle's balance never wavered. With a quick, precise motion, he disarmed the attacker, leaving the mercenary stunned and unharmed. The battle was over in moments. The mercenaries fled, leaving behind the whispers of their disbelief. Leora rushed to Kale, her heart pounding. You are incredible, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Kale sheathed the sword slowly, the energy dimming as the hum faded. He looked at her calmly. Strength is not in force alone. It is in understanding, in patience, in knowing when to act. Leora nodded, still trembling from the display. The aliens, the council, they will never believe this. Kyle smiled faintly. They will see soon enough. Humans are not what they think. Quiet strength can change everything. As the adrenaline of the battle faded, Leora noticed a faint trail of glowing symbols left in the air where Kyle had moved. They shimmered briefly before dissolving, leaving a feeling of awe and mystery. It was as if Kyle had written his presence into reality itself, a reminder of the hidden power humans could wield. That evening, the couple sat together in the garden, the twin suns setting in soft pink and gold hues. Leora's mind was alive with questions. Kale, where did this sword come from? And how can you control it like that? Kale looked at her, his eyes reflecting the colors of the sunset. This sword is old, older than most civilizations. It was created to be an extension of its wielder, to respond to their mind and intent. Humans once wielded many such tools, but most were lost or forgotten. I have trained quietly to understand its ways. Leora reached out and touched his hand. You've hidden all this from everyone, even me. He smiled gently. I wanted to live a simple life, but power must always be controlled. The galaxy is not ready for humans like this. Not yet. For a long time they sat together in silence, watching the stars emerge as the sky darkened. Leora realized that the quiet human she had married was not only strong, but wise, disciplined, and deeply connected to something greater than herself. Days passed, and the story of the mercenary encounter spread quietly through Xylaris Prime. Some aliens began to look at humans differently, though many still clung to old prejudices. Leora noticed subtle changes, small nods of respect, cautious glances, and whispered discussions whenever Kyle's name was mentioned. One evening, while Kyle was practicing with the sword in the garden, Leora approached him. Do you think they understand now? She asked. Kyle paused, the sword humming faintly in his hands. They understand part of the truth, but most still see only weakness. True understanding will come when they see humans acting not out of anger or fear, but out of intelligence, courage, and balance. Leora felt a surge of pride. She realized that Kale's quiet nature, his patience, and his restraint were far more powerful than anything the aliens could imagine. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, but Kale was proof that strength could be silent, patient, and devastatingly effective when needed. That night, as they walked through the glowing gardens, Leora whispered, Kyle, the universe has no idea what is coming. He nodded, looking at the stars above. Let them learn. Humans are ready, even if they do not know it yet. And we will be ready too. In the distance, faint shadows moved, figures watching, planning, waiting. The quiet human they thought powerless had awakened. And soon, the galaxy would learn that the underestimated humans held a strength far greater than anyone could imagine. The sword had awakened, and with it everything was about to change. The wind howled across the plains of Xylaris Prime, carrying with it the scent of tension. Leora and Kale had sensed it for days. the quiet stir of danger growing closer, a shadow that moved with intent. Kale stood at the edge of the garden, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, eyes scanning the horizon. "They are coming," he said quietly. Leora's heart pounded. "The mercenaries again?" Kyle shook his head. "Stronger, organized. They know about me now. They seek to remove the human threat entirely." Leora stepped closer. "We can face them together, right?" Kyle's calm smile reassured her. "Together. Always." As the sun dipped low, the first signs of movement appeared. A squad of alien warriors emerged from the shadows of the nearby forest, their armor glinting under the last rays of sunlight. They carried advanced weapons, energy shields, and devices designed to neutralize Kale's sword. Their formation was precise, trained, and deadly. Leora's breath caught. She had never seen such coordination. Kale, however, remained still, his eyes sharp, calculating. "They underestimate humans," he murmured. "But we will show them balance and strategy." The first wave advanced. Kale moved smoothly, drawing his sword in one motion. Energy shimmered along the blade, casting ripples of light across the ground. With each strike, each parry, he neutralized the attackers with precision. They moved to strike, but Kyle was always ahead, reading, predicting, and countering. Leora realized that his movements were not just physical. They were a combination of instinct, calculation, and a deep understanding of the battlefield. Every step he took was measured, every swing of his sword deliberate. It was artistry in motion, and the alien warriors began to falter. One of the warriors lunged from the side, aiming for Leora. Kyle shifted instantly, intercepting the attack with a sweep of his sword. The warrior stumbled back, stunned, and Kale's hand moved to steady Leora. "Stay close," he said, calm and composed. The alien squad leader stepped forward, raising a device that emitted a bright pulse of energy meant to disable Kale's sword. Leora held her breath as the energy hit the blade, but instead of neutralizing it, the sword absorbed the energy, glowing brighter, resonating with Kale's will. "You see," Kale said, almost to himself, "humans adapt. Always." With renewed force, Kale advanced, moving through the warriors with precision and control. His strikes were efficient, non-lethal, but utterly effective. The energy of the sword seemed to flow through him, anticipating every move of his opponents. Leora watched in awe. The quiet human she had married had become a whirlwind of controlled power. Yet, unlike the aliens who relied on technology and brute force, Kale's strength was rooted in intelligence, timing, and balance. He neutralized threats without unnecessary harm, leaving the warriors disoriented and awed. The battle raged for what felt like hours, but in reality it was only moments. Kale moved with calm certainty, never letting fear or anger cloud his mind. Leora joined him when necessary, using her diplomatic training to redirect and confuse the attackers. Together, they were a team, blending human ingenuity with Kyle's quiet, deadly skill. Finally, the last of the alien warriors fell back, realizing they could not win against the human they had underestimated. The squad leader, humiliated and cautious, retreated into the shadows, leaving the field silent once more. Kyle sheathed his sword and turned to Leora. "Balance is maintained," he said softly. Leora exhaled, relief flooding her chest. "That was incredible. You handled all of them alone. Yet not a single life was lost unnecessarily." Kyle nodded. "Strength is not measured by destruction. It is measured by control, by wisdom, and by knowing when to act." As they walked back toward their home, Leora noticed the subtle changes in the world around them. Alien neighbors who had watched from a distance now looked with a mix of fear and respect. Whispers of the human with the sword began to spread. For the first time, the aliens were forced to reconsider their assumptions. In the safety of their home, Kyle and Leora sat together in silence. Leora reached for his hand, her eyes reflecting the flickering candlelight. "Kyle, the universe is starting to notice humans in a different way. Do you think they will ever understand us?" Kale's eyes softened. "Some may never understand. Others will see the truth in time. Humans have always been underestimated, but we endure, we adapt, and when the moment comes, we rise." Leora felt a swell of pride and hope. The quiet human she had married was not just strong. He was wise, patient, and unstoppable in ways the galaxy had yet to comprehend. Days turned into nights, and Kyle continued to train in the garden. He refined his movements, studied the patterns of the forest creatures, and tested the limits of his sword. Leora watched, often sitting quietly nearby, learning from him in small ways. She realized that humans were more than just physical beings. They were thinkers, strategists, and creators. Every movement, every decision Kyle made demonstrated qualities that the most advanced aliens could not replicate. One evening, as the twin suns set and cast a golden glow over their home, Kyle spoke quietly. "The alien council will act soon. They cannot ignore what has happened. Their arrogance blinds them, but it will also give them weakness. And humans are ready for opportunity." Leora nodded, understanding. "We will face it together, Kale. Whatever comes, we will meet it." He smiled faintly, placing his hand over hers. "Together, always." But beyond the horizon, the shadows stirred once more. Reports from distant planets had begun to reach the alien council. Humans were no longer weak, no longer predictable. Whispers of Kale's sword and the quiet human's strength spread like wildfire. Some feared humans, others mocked them, but no one could deny the truth. A force long underestimated had awakened. Leora knew that their peaceful life was over. The rising storm was coming, bringing both danger and opportunity. And when it arrived, Kale would no longer be just a quiet human. He would become a symbol, a reminder to the galaxy that humans, in their quiet strength and intelligence, could stand tall against any threat. That night, Leora and Kale stood together on the balcony, watching the stars. The world below was calm, but the air above hinted at change. Kale's sword rested at his side, its faint glow a promise of readiness. "We have prepared for this," Leora whispered. Kale nodded. "Yes, and when the time comes, we will rise, not with anger, but with wisdom, courage, and balance. The universe will see humans as we truly are." The night was quiet, but the tension was undeniable. The shadows of the alien council, the mercenaries, and those who feared change were gathering. The storm was approaching, and when it broke, the quiet human and his bride would face it together, proving that humans were never weak, only underestimated. The rising storm had begun, and the galaxy would never forget the day Kale drew his sword and everything changed. The galaxy was changing. News of Kale, the quiet human with the glowing sword, had spread to distant worlds. Whispers of his calm strength and sharp mind reached the ears of alien leaders, diplomats, and warriors alike. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, considered weak and fragile. Now, the universe was forced to look at them differently. Kyle stood on the balcony of his home, overlooking the city of Zalaris Prime. Leora stood beside him, her hand resting on his arm. Together they watched the alien ships arriving in the distance, carrying diplomats, warriors, and observers curious to see the human who had defied expectations. "They think they are coming to judge us," Kale said softly, "but they will see the truth." Leora nodded. "And what truth is that?" Kale smiled faintly. "That humans are more than they appear. We do not rely on arrogance or brute force. We adapt, we plan, we endure. That is our strength. The alien delegation arrived. Tall figures with armored suits and glowing eyes stepped forward. Many came with skepticism, some with fear. They expected Kyle to be defeated easily or to fail in leadership. What they found was far different. Kyle welcomed them calmly. He did not raise his sword, did not shout commands. Instead, he spoke with clarity, logic, and quiet confidence. His words were precise, every sentence deliberate. He demonstrated plans, strategies, and solutions to problems that even advanced alien minds had not solved. One by one, the aliens began to understand. Humans were not simple or fragile. Their intelligence, creativity, and courage allowed them to overcome challenges that brute strength alone could not. Kyle showed them examples, how humans could neutralize threats with minimal harm, how humans could anticipate dangers, and how humans could work together in ways alien civilizations rarely did. A young alien warrior, skeptical at first, stepped forward. If humans are so clever, why have they not led before? Kyle looked at him, calm and patient. We have been underestimated. We have been scattered. But when the moment comes, humans rise, quietly, patiently, and decisively. Strength is not always loud, but it is always present. Leora watched him with pride. She had always known Kale's quiet demeanor hid great power, but now the universe could see it. His words, his strategy, and his calm presence were enough to inspire respect. The Alien Council had prepared a challenge, a simulated crisis designed to test Kyle and his humans. A fleet of drones was released, representing a threat to a nearby planet. The aliens expected Kyle to fail, to panic, or to require assistance. But Kyle did not falter. He organized a small group of humans, showing them how to observe, plan, and act with precision. They moved together like a single organism, neutralizing the drones efficiently and without unnecessary damage. The aliens watched in astonishment. This was not chaos. It was controlled intelligence, courage, and teamwork. When the last drone fell, silence filled the observation chamber. The alien leaders exchanged stunned glances. They had assumed humans were weak, unpredictable, or slow. Instead, they had witnessed humans acting with intelligence, bravery, and balance. Leora stepped forward. They underestimated humans, she said softly. But we are not weak. We have never been weak. Kale turned to her, placing a hand gently on hers. We do not need to prove our strength through destruction. Our strength is in endurance, in wisdom, and in courage. That is why humans stand tall. The council began to nod, some hesitantly, others with newfound respect. Humans had been seen as weak for generations, but Kale had shown that quiet determination and intelligence could change the galaxy's perspective. The following days were filled with diplomacy, training, and collaboration. Kale guided humans and aliens alike, showing that cooperation was stronger than conflict. Slowly, humans were invited into councils, into discussions, and even into leadership roles they had never imagined. One evening, Leora and Kale walked through the glowing gardens of their home. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows and bathing the plants in soft light. Do you think they will ever stop underestimating humans? Leora asked. Kale shook his head, smiling. Perhaps some always will, but that does not matter. Humans will continue to grow, to adapt, and to rise. Strength is not measured by approval. It is measured by action, endurance, and courage. And humans have all three. Leora rested her head on his shoulder. You've shown the galaxy what we can do, quietly, steadily, and with wisdom. Kyle nodded. And that is only the beginning. The universe will continue to challenge us, but now humans are ready. We can stand tall, not because we are loud or aggressive, but because we are capable, brave, and intelligent. Far above, stars shone brightly. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of challenges, mysteries, and unknown threats. Yet with humans standing tall, guided by quiet strength and wisdom, there was hope. Leora and Kale watched the skies together, knowing that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but humans were ready. They had survived, adapted, and proven their worth. And Kale, the quiet human with the glowing sword, had shown the universe that underestimated beings could rise to greatness. For centuries, humans had been overlooked. For centuries, they had been considered weak. But now, the story had changed. Quiet strength, intelligence, and courage were recognized. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humans. Kyle turned to Leora. The universe will face humans now, not as weaklings, but as equals. And when the moment comes, humans will rise, as they always do. Leora smiled, feeling pride, love, and hope. Together, she said. Together, Kale echoed. The twin suns set completely, leaving the world bathed in soft starlight. The quiet human and his bride stood side by side, ready for the future, ready for challenges, and ready to show the galaxy the true strength of humanity. The sword rested at Kale's side, its faint glow a reminder of the hidden potential within humans. And as the stars twinkled above, it was clear. Humans were no longer underestimated. Humans stood tall, ready to shape the galaxy with courage, wisdom, and heart. The story of Kyle, the quiet human who drew his sword, had changed everything, and for humanity, this was only the beginning.